You know the vibes. Welcome back to another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast brought to you by NBA 2K25. It's myself, Mo Mooncey. Alongside me, we've got a full house today. We've got a GM extraordinaire, Mr. Scott Perry, and three-time NBA champion, Mr. BJ Armstrong. Fellas, how was your weekend?
Great weekend for me, Mo.
Steelers win?
Great weekend, man. Steelers won. We beat the Ravens. Ravens Steelers week is big. It's big, man. It's big, and it's always a knockdown, drag out affair. Physical, probably the most physical rivalry in the NFL.
Okay.
And we came out on top. Wasn't always pretty, but love the resilience of my Steelers in the group. And shout out to Mike T. Mike T's doing an awesome job coaching his team, as he always does. But he's finally starting to get some recognition about it too. So,
Okay. BJ, how was your weekend? You went to a game. You went to a game this weekend, right?
Yeah, only terrific for me. Only terrific.
Where does this come from, bro?
That's how we do it. That's how we do it. Our Lions, Mo. Our Lions. Hey, I'll let Scott.
Nice.
I'll let Scott. Scott is our football in addition to our basketball extraordinaire. And
Hey,
everyone's looking
I
over their
gotta say
shoulder
this.
at the Lions.
Hey, look, the Lions are now the clear-cut favorite, Mo, to not only make the Super Bowl, they have all the betting odds with them to win the Super Bowl.
America's team. We are America's team.
And with this win yesterday, this is their best start since 1934.
Wow.
We'll figure that. Hey, Mo.
So
how
ask me
Detroit is
again,
a feeling
Mo,
like that.
how I'm doing, Mo.
Okay.
Mo, ask me again how I'm doing.
BJ, let me ask you this. Are you confident enough to right now book your ticket to Louisiana in February?
Oh, Scott knows we got 2 tickets for him and I. We've
Already?
never seen this in our
Wow.
lifetime.
Wow.
We've never seen this in our lifetime.
Couldn't get a third ticket. That's crazy.
Mo,
Mo, I know it was your birthday last week. We ain't got your ticket though. It's cool.
Mo.
No, it's cool.
I
didn't
threw
want to
out
go
the
anyway.
signal.
It's
No,
cool.
I threw the signal out to you. You said when you ask a Lions fan how they doing on Monday morning, we say the same thing. Only terrific. That's what we do.
Is that so? That's an NFL thing. That's why you start saying.
That's our new thing. How we do it? Only terrific. We don't have a choice.
Okay.
Scott just gave you the math. We've never seen this in our lifetime, Scott. How about that?
Now let me ask you this.
And I'm gonna tell you what, this town is upside down right now. Detroit. They're beside themselves. And look, the Lions. What's crazy about this, Mo? The fan base of the Lions is traveling for all the road games. Now they were home yesterday, but they're coming out in droves wherever the Lions go across this country, and that never happened before. And so it is Lions mania. Detroit was always a big football town, even when the Lions weren't winning. But now that they are winning, every other team there and every other subject matter there pales in comparison to what the Lions are doing. And the Lions, I got to give them credit. They are representing Detroit. They arguably are the most physical team in the NFL right now.
Well,
And it starts with their offensive line. They have a tremendous offensive line.
I feel like
best
we
in
need to do a
football.
spin-off show just about NFL. So I was going to segue the Lions' fantastic start into talking about the Cavs, but I feel like we need to talk about the other team in Detroit, the Detroit Pistons, who are now up to 5th in the Western Conference. And I've
Eastern
got some,
Conference.
Oh, in the
Eastern
Eastern Conference. Yeah, it's early for me. It's early for me.
Exactly.
The last 10 games in Detroit, they're 6-4, right? But last year, their 25th ranked defense is now ranked 5th in the league. They are 6th in blocks. They're 5th in second chance points. They're 5th in rebound percentage. 3 out of 4 losses were by a combined 10 points. And I want to shout out to JB Bigstaff because, the last 3 years in Cleveland, he had them solidly in the top 10 or top 5 in defensive ranking. And now he's got the Detroit Pistons, even if it's just for this little stretch. He's got them playing well on both sides of the floor. They've had some of the most exciting games. I think they had back-to-back overtime games last week. And things are finally looking a little bit good for the Detroit Pistons. this season. So, BJ, I'm gonna ask you one more time. How you doing this weekend?
That response is only reserved for the Lions at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's make this clear.
Okay, but the Pistons have now won 7 games. Last year, they
Yes.
didn't win
Yes.
their 7th game until February.
Yes.
Yeah.
And without question, you are starting to see improvement, in particular with their guard play. Okay. And let's start at the top with Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham he's been a 20+ scorer with some level of consistency. I don't know the stats, but I'm going to imagine probably over the last 7 or 8 games or somewhere around there.
He's put up a 21, 10, and 10 with 5 steals last night in a crazy game.
He's putting up consistent numbers at the guard position, which is key. It's if you want to improve in this league, as Scott will tell you, you have to improve your guard play in the way the game is played, in particular, especially today. So they're getting good guard play from Cade Cunningham. But there is also another guard to me that has really come on like gangbusters, and that's Jaden Ivey.
No question.
28 points and 8 assists, 4 or 7 from 3.
Now, Jaden Ivey provides a level of athleticism that now suddenly you have to say, whoa, what's going on here? Because of his athletic ability. He has the ability on some nights to overwhelm you offensively with his size and his athletic ability. So the combination of Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey, I think you can point, directly to those two. Now, I want to also give out, some praise to Tobias Harris. He's a pro. So that kind of stabilizes their team. Tobias Harris is one of those guys that throughout his career, he's always been a very consistent player in what he did and what he has done in the NBA. And one of those things is, we always talk about it here on the show, the best ability is availability. Well, Tobias Harris shows up. And that's what you're getting. So they have a pro in him. And then, you can see the big fella now. He's doing his thing he's somewhere around double in Durham as he
11 and 10
continues
last
to grow.
night, yep.
As he continues to grow. So when you start having consistency and you start seeing consistency with your young players, then all of a sudden you can start kind of projecting a little bit, because you're drafting most of the time on potential. But then how quickly can we take that potential off your name? So give those 2 guards a lot of credit early in the season. Tobias Harris adding veterans, and then you'll have Tim Hardaway, Beasley, and those guys will come in. Any given night, one of those guys will probably score over 20 points, which is always a great, asset to have a third, fourth scorer. And then you just go out there and play, and that's what they're doing. And you got to give the coaching staff credit. So I like what I'm seeing. It's early, but you got to start, with their guards. And I want to make sure that we understand why we're having success early in the season. Now, let's see if we can continue this. That's a big ask, but I like what I'm seeing.
Let me add just real quick. When you touched on the coaching staff, it's clear to me that this staff, led by JB Bickerstaff, has brought a focus and an accountability to that defensive end. There are no excuses being accepted there. All of those players are being held to account on the defensive end. I've watched him sub guys out when he doesn't like what he sees defensively. And that's key, as BJ would tell you, to becoming a great defensive team. There's got to be consequence for either lack of effort or lack of understanding of, defensive rotations or assignment. I'm seeing a better overall effort for 48 minutes from this group and growth from all the young players. So shout out to the coaching staff for really tapping into that, holding those guys accountable. And, again, it's early in the year. They're taking care of home. They're winning at home. Let's see what they look like when the schedule really toughens up for them. And then we'll be able to make a true determination just how much better this team has become.
Scott, let me ask you a question. When was the last time you spoke to Mr. Chauncey Billups?
I saw Mr. Chauncey Billups when he got inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame, which was a few weeks ago,
Oh, that's right.
Amazing.
back in October,
And
and
he's
so we had
taken
a good
some of
time.
that Hall of Fame wisdom because the Trailblazers are now on a 3-game winning streak. And
Yes.
it all started by Chauncey Billups delivering this message to his team after a 45-point loss to the Memphis Grizzlies. Did you hear what he said?
What did he say? Tell me what Chauncey said.
He told his team that anybody who sleeps well tonight, you're a loser. It's just that simple. You're a loser. If you sleep well after this loss, you are a loser. And since then, wanting to prove their coach wrong, the Trailblazers won back-to-back games against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and then they beat the
Timberwolves. Yes,
Hawks.
sir.
And
Yes.
things have started to turn around. What have you seen from the Portland Trailblazers?
Well, first of all, let me tell you, and it was interesting, being at the Hall of Fame with Chauncey. And I've known Chauncey since he was 16 years old. I recruited Chauncey Billups when he was a great high school player coming out of Denver. Chauncey is a fighter. He is extremely resilient. And he in his Hall of Fame acceptance speech, he talked about his journey and the uniqueness of his journey, how he was a guy that was counted out a lot of times, and then particularly once he got to the NBA, how he bounced around, couldn't find traction, but he never lost that internal belief that he could play. He just needed that right opportunity, which Detroit became that for him. And he talked about even in his coaching journey now, because look, everybody knows that this roster really, when you study this roster, it's not a roster that's built to really win, especially win in that Western Conference. But Chauncey's not going to let that deter him because he believes in his ability to coach, as I do. I think he's got a chance to really be a very good coach. And he is just pushing all the buttons he can with what he has. And that's the mark of a good coach, when you can maximize what you have in your locker room, not cry about it publicly. Oh, I don't have a small forward or a center or whatever the case may be. Chauncey is taking the guys that he has and say, okay, how do I get them better? How do I put them in situations to compete and give them a strong chance to win? And the way he challenged that team, and I didn't realize that was his quote after that 45-point loss, but it doesn't surprise me because that is the leader that Chauncey Billups is. And I've watched that up close for so many years in Detroit, and to see him doing that as a coach really makes me proud. I'm happy for him. Hopefully they can try to sustain it. As we just talked about with the Pistons, it's very early in the season, but he's showing the NBA that this guy, if you can give him a full roster, I think Chauncey Billups could win a lot of games in this league and be a very successful coach.
The other thing it shows is, he called his team soft and embarrassing, and he called them losers. They responded to that by coming back and playing harder. There are other coaches in the league, without saying names, that I think if they said that to their teams, the teams just wouldn't even care. The teams just wouldn't be moved by it. But the interesting part about this is DeAndre Ayton sadly has been injured. His injury, I think, to his index finger could be worse than expected. But these 3 games they won, they've started with Mr. Donovan Clingan starting at center, their first-round draft pick. BJ, I know you had some thoughts about Donovan Clingan when we spoke the other day. I was wondering if you wanted to share them with the show here.
Listen, I was a big Klingum fan, so I think Donovan Klingum is going to be a really good player. I think he has opportunity to really be a big guy who contribute to a really good team. I liked him then in the draft, and I like him now. So, in saying that, what Scott pointed out is, it's the one thing about Chauncey that I've watched him closely since his playing career. Now I'm watching him in his coaching career. I love the fact that he does what Scott and I often talk about, off air, is he plays 10 plus players every night. So what I like about last night's win is I think only one of his starters was in double figures. Right? If I remember
Shaden Sharp
correctly,
had 32.
32.
And then Delano Banton had 23 off the bench. Robert Williams, the Time Lord, had 14 off the bench as well.
So when I start seeing players Mo through the Time Lord in there,
That's my guy, man. Come
I
on,
like that exactly.
you know
but
this.
I like
I
that.
love the fact this is what excites me to play. As a player, when the coach says, "Hey, I'm going to play the five guys who are playing the best that night," and that's the type of team that you have. So that every single night you're getting in the game, and when your opportunity comes, you better be ready. That's what Chauncey's saying. And when you see that, they don't have the luxury of having what we would consider a star right now in their player. Maybe in the future they might have that. But right now, you got 10 guys who are all coming out there playing, and they're playing, contributing. And as we know, in today's game, when you get your guys to play hard, you're going to win your fair share of games. And that's what they're doing right now. You can lose by 30 or 40. It's going to happen. We know there's going to be some nights in the NBA where it just doesn't work. However, with a young team, it's unacceptable for you not to play hard. And Chauncey has made that decision to I'm going to play 10 guys every night or more. And whoever is going, that's who's going to play. So, Mr. Big Shot, as we like to call him up there in Detroit, that's Mr. Big Shot. Chauncey to everyone else, but to us in Detroit, that's Mr. Big Shot. And, Scott and Joe Dumars and those guys deserve the credit because when he was trying to look for a team and trying to look for some traction, well, he found it in Detroit. And the main reason is because of the gentleman right here, Scott Perry, who saw something in him and he alluded to him. He saw him in high school. So it was just a matter of giving him the right space, the right team. And it happens to be in Detroit. And, we won a championship because of it. So, shout out to Mr. Big Shot as well.
Do you know, shout out to Chauncey every time. BJ, believe it or not, I actually had Chauncey Billups playing 2K with me. I did a live stream with him and got him playing some NBA 2K. But
who won, Mo? Who won, Mo?
He just kind of put the controller down at halftime and didn't pick it up again and just carried on talking. Rip came through as well. It was actually pretty cool. Rip and Chauncey both came through.
Okay.
But one thing that's been interesting to me over the last few days in the NBA, as you guys like to talk about the business of basketball, is I've asked you this before about contract years and whatnot. But as you know, De'Aaron Fox turned down $165 million from the Kings to seek out a bigger contract. Okay. On the other hand, Jamal Murray just signed a $208 million contract extension. Now, De'Aaron Fox, I don't know if you guys have been watching what De'Aaron Fox has been doing, but he followed up his 60-point performance with a 49-point performance because he's after that bag. Mr. Murray, on the other hand, flew to New York between games on the Nuggets' current road trip to watch the UFC on Saturday night. He then finished with 13 points, 6 turnovers, and 6 of 15 from the field as the Denver Nuggets lost the Memphis Grizzlies, who weren't playing with Ja Morant. I'm just going to provide those two pieces of information, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But BJ, I know you picked De'Aaron Fox as a surprise MVP name before the season started.
What'd you say, Mo? I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
I've just presented the information, and I'm just going to leave it there.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I'm just presenting the information between a player who's looking for a new contract and a player who's just signed a new contract. The listeners can do what they will with that.
I think BJ was hinting at what did you just say when he gave you the name of De'Aaron Fox as a dark horse for the MVP. And you didn't want to acknowledge that, Mo.
Catch that, Scott. He didn't catch that.
You know what, Scott? I think that's not even in my headphones because I didn't hear what you said.
He said exactly.
Scott,
thank you, Scott. See, Mo got exactly.
Thank you, Scott.
I said it once. I ain't gonna repeat myself.
So,
I'm gonna tell you what I told the ladies. I said it once. I ain't gonna repeat myself.
Oh, okay. All right.
Proceed as you will.
Proceed. Okay. Well, I want to say this. I've this is a young man I've been watching for quite some time, right? Dating back to high school. And then I have an unfair advantage. Scott was in Sacramento when they drafted him. Mm-hmm. And Scott was part of that team out there with Vlade Divac and others. who drafted him. So I had a chance to peek behind the curtain. And when you know what's in someone, when you know kind of it's one thing you can't evaluate, right? What's in a man's heart and what's in his mind. Well, I got a chance to see De'Aaron Fox not All-Star, at Summer League, and kind of watch him closely, not only with his talent, I could see that, but I kind of was able to see over a short period of time what's in him, what's behind the curtain, if you will. So this is not a surprise to me. This is a terrific young man, terrific,
Yes,
in every sense of the word. So, to many it may look like he's chasing whatever. Well, De'Aaron Fox has a sense of himself. he has he has an unwavering, confidence about him and how he conducts himself. So, to many this may look like a surprise. And I remember when we were talking about that. De'Aaron Fox, he could score that basketball with the best of them, but he also understands the position. That's what makes him such a special player. He actually tones it down most nights to play the position, but he's very capable. And what I love about him is he's doing this when other starters are out. DeMar DeRozan is out, Sabonis is out. So you can see Malik Monk is out, that he knows that he can turn it up when he needs to try to win the game. That's what I loved about these last two games. He's not doing this just chasing numbers. He's doing this to try to win the game. And
Yeah,
that
they were in
says,
overtime when he was going for that.
that's what I'm saying.
60 points.
That's what it says about it. And he's playing to win. And I saw him in the summer league do the exact same thing. Not to the extent of 60 points, but I saw him with the idea of a young player saying, hey, I got to win this game. So, you know what? They got a good one out there. And Scott was part of that. Scott saw it. They drafted him. And now you're seeing a young man just really, I thought he's always been one of the elite guards. And I think this year, for sure, he should be an all-star. And with just those performances alone, I mean, that's 100 and what is that? 109 points? 109 points in two games.
It's one off Kobe Bryant's record. Kobe had the NBA record, I read, of 110 points in a 2-game span.
Okay. Well, yeah.
And
In the modern era,
Yeah.
In the modern era, yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's an incredible achievement, and at the guard position, more or less. I mean, the point guard position.
Yeah.
So that's unreal.
Meanwhile, Jamal Murray's combined for 29 points in his last 2 losses.
Let me just add this on De'Aaron. When you start putting up pictures of what I would deem true professional athletes in the NBA, you got to put De'Aaron Fox's photo up there as one of those true professionals, because he excels both on and off the court. Tremendous young man, highly intelligent, engaging. I know he does a lot in the community in Sacramento, and he has improved every year in this NBA. He's really learned how to harness his speed, pick and choose his spots. He continued to really improve as a shooter from day one to where he's at now, to where he, you're surprised when he misses from some areas. And it's just great to see him do that. And he will be rewarded. And he's not really, again, it was a business decision to not take the contract when he did, quote unquote, betting on himself. But De'Aaron was going to show up and play regardless whether he took the contract or not. And I'm just glad to see him playing so well out there in Sacramento, and I'm sure they'll get it figured out, because that is the one player they cannot afford to lose in Sacramento.
Yeah, and he also left Nike and he went to Under Armour to be the first athlete under Steph Curry's brand over there. So
yes,
go get your money, young fella. Go get your money. Scott, I wanted to ask you, what have you been keeping an eye on around the NBA? Seeing as we only get to check in with you once a week, what's caught your attention in the past week?
Well, look, I've got to go to the team that's 15-0 now. Our last conversation, when you and I talked, we talked about what was going to be their first loss, and I thought that the Hornets coming in there last night would be the trap game.
Yep.
But it was not. give them credit. Boy, this team is playing phenomenal basketball, and they won last night without Donovan Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
And this young man, Ty Jerome, is playing some really good basketball for his Cavaliers, normally coming off the bench. But as a starter last night, I believe he had 26, 28 points in helping them win this basketball game. Just really like the energy that I see. And again, we talked about one of my most improved player candidates coming in the year. So I'm gonna pull a BJ here. I'm gonna put him in here. Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley has helped take this team as much as anybody, along with the coaching staff. The coaching staff has done a phenomenal job. Shout out to Kenny Atkinson and my man Johnny Bryant, who's over there as associate head coach, and the rest of the staff. They've done a phenomenal job. But this team is playing together. They're sharing the basketball. They're defending well. But they're taking some very high quality shots, and the efficiency in which they play on the offensive end is as good as it is in the league right now. So let's see what happens to this. What I'm going to be watching for when they do have their first loss. How much
they've got an NBA Cup matchup with the Celtics on Wednesday, which I think the Cavs will win. But then the Thursday night game against the injury-riddled Pelicans could be the trap game after the emotional high of beating the greatest team in the history
Where's
of
the
NBA.
Pelican game? Where's the Pelican
Against
game?
who, Mo?
The
what
greatest
team?
team in the history of the NBA.
Oh, okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure.
Where's the
That's
Pelicans
in
game,
Boston,
man?
and the Pelicans game is at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse in Cleveland. Teams starting the season, the Cavs are 15-0. The Houston Rockets started 15-0 in 1993-94. Ended up winning the championship. But the Dallas Mavericks started 14-0 in 2003. It didn't end so well for them there. And the only team with a better start to the season is the Golden State Warriors in 2015-16, who went 24-0 to start the season, ultimately losing in the finals.
Mo, can we just pause for a little second and talk about this Rockets Bulls game? I mean, that score from last night. Can we just pause just a second and just? I mean, Mo, this was at home.
Okay.
143-107. Jeez.
Well, I wanted to talk about Rockets because they're on a five-game winning streak right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're on a 5-game streak right now. The Lakers are also on a 5-game streak. That's the longest streaks over in the West. Aside from obviously the Cavs 15-game win streak, the Magic have also won their last 5 without Paolo, which has been pretty impressive. But the Houston Rockets, absolutely balling right now. Alperen Şengün with his second triple-double in a row, 20, 11, and 11, with 2 blocks, 9 and 15 from the field.
Mo, that's one of your favorite players.
That's one of my favorite players.
Alfred Şengün. You love. There's not a show that I've been on. I don't think somehow you have not weaved his name into the conversation.
You know why, Scott? Because he's an old school hooper. That back to the basket game, the little hook shot. He hoops like me if I was 7 foot tall. So, how can he not be my favorite player? You know what I'm saying? But the Houston Rockets have been balling. BJ, what were your thoughts watching that game and your former team?
Well, I didn't watch it. It was just surprising when you lose by that margin at home.
Yes.
Okay.
If you've been watching the Chicago Bulls for the last 5 years, nothing like this will surprise you.
Yeah, I was just a little taken back by that margin at home.
Mm-hmm.
So I did not watch this game. I was at the Clippers Jazz game yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to watch as many games as I normally would. But I was just a little taken away, and knowing that you guys are.
Well, here's the thing about the Rockets is the reports this week are that they are the surprise team, according to Mark Stein, that will
surprise what?
The surprise team that are after Giannis Antetokounmpo if he decides to leave Milwaukee.
Oh, I was going to say. Oh, okay.
I'm not surprised. I told you the Rockets would be good.
I wonder why.
Oh yeah,
they got my favorite center and my favorite head coach all in one team.
No, I believe we all agreed that the Rockets were going to be a team that were to be looked at. That were going to ascend up the conference standings this year. Got a lot of good young talent.
Yeah, the way they finished last year.
Excellent coach. Who's really improved the group defensively. So they've definitely got a chance. They've got talent. They've got a defensive understanding and a accountability there with
That's-
the head coach.
Let me ask you this, Scott, because this is one of the things I've seen floating around online. A proposed trade, hypothetically, between the Houston Rockets and the Milwaukee Bucks. Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, Jabari Smith Jr., and 3 first-round picks in exchange for Giannis Antetokounmpo. As a general manager, what is your reaction upon hearing that?
Oh, it's not going to happen right now. Look, the people in Milwaukee are not going to trade Giannis.
If the Milwaukee
not the
Bucks
current
ship
group,
keeps sinking and he demands a trade,
well, if he demands a trade, that's something different, and I don't see him doing that right now, because Giannis is, to me, such a competitor that I don't see him wanting to quote unquote bail on the situation, and I know he's put his all into it. It's still too early in the season to really talk about that, but in the hypothetical world, you're never gonna get, in my opinion, equal value for Giannis Antetokounmpo. You're talking about a guy who really changed the franchise in Milwaukee. Now, I know they're not winning right now this year, but for the most part, since he has come on the scene and ascended to all-star status, the Milwaukee Bucks have been a legit contender in this league. Now, with Houston giving up, what did you say in the deal? 3 picks, 3 first-round picks?
25, 27, and 29 first-round picks, and then Jabari Smith and Jalen Green, who are both high lottery picks, and Dylan Brooks, who will be there for salary matching purposes.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Houston, I'm sure that you would definitely look at that strongly. I don't know if that serves Milwaukee well to what they would want. That would be my guess as I look at it. So when I hear about those deals, Mo, it's always, I try to look at it from both sides, and I see that as presented more favorable for Houston than I do for Milwaukee. So that's how I would, when I read that, I would think that and think, I don't see that one. I don't see that one happening.
Okay. Well, Scott, last time you were here, we predicted some of the NBA Cup matchups. And I think that they're not tonight, they're tomorrow night, but I think that we should go ahead and do them. Do you want to know how the picks went last time?
Yeah, I know what that means. That means
No. I've not even looked. I've just pulled up the document right now.
You haven't
I've
looked.
just pulled up the document right now. So we all picked the Celtics to win, and the Celtics lost. So we were 0 for 3 on that one.
Okay.
The Magic and the Hornets. Scott and I picked the Magic. BJ picked the Hornets, and the winner was the Magic.
Okay.
The Heat and the Pistons, though. Scott picked the Heat. BJ and I picked the Pistons.
Yeah,
and the
I
Pistons
can't believe how when I'm saying we, meaning the Heat. I can't believe how the Heat.
Eric Spoelstra is responsible for that one. The Knicks and the Sixers, we all picked the Knicks, and they did indeed win. The Bucks and the Raptors, we all picked the Bucks, and the Bucks won. The Suns versus the Jazz, we all picked the Suns. They won. The Wolves versus the Blazers, we all picked the Wolves, and the Blazers won, as we spoke about earlier. And then the Mavs versus the Warriors, Scott and I picked the Warriors, and BJ picked the Mavs, and the Warriors won. So the conclusion is the games in which we disagreed, I got them all correct, and that's the lesson that we're learning here. The results speak for themselves. Anyway.
I knew it was going to that conclusion. I knew that.
Well, let's see if you guys can do better this week. We've got
Mo, if I was managing you as a player, I've learned you so well now. I know exactly what I could count on from Mo. So as I'm building my team out, I said, Mo is that guy who's gonna always be right.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Anyway, let's see if I'm wrong this week. The Cavs and the Celtics. Who are you guys? Do you think the Celtics are going to end the Cavs streak? Bear in mind, the Celtics are at home, and they lost the game against the Hawks, which means they're 0-1 in NBA Cup play. So they'll be fired up for this. The Cavs obviously facing the defending champs, undefeated. They don't want to lose, as this could be a potential finals.
Is Mitchell out?
We are not going to know until close to the game. Currently listed as out, but that could change.
Oh, if he's listed as out, and is Jaylen Brown in?
Jaylen Brown is not listed on the injury report as it stands at this moment on a Monday afternoon.
I'm gonna I know I believe the Celtics will win that game at home.
BJ, how about yourself?
Celtics.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
All
in
right.
Boston, right? It's in Boston.
It's in Boston. Yeah, it's in
Yeah,
Boston.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
in
yeah.
Boston. Yeah.
I remember a Celtics Cavs game from last year where Dean Wade, was it Dean Wade? Just went 20 points at the end of the fourth quarter and just killed the Celtics. But I think that I'm going to pick the Celtics because this cup thingy requires some sort of points differential as well.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to win this game, otherwise they're 0-2 in the cup and they're eliminated.
Yeah. If
And
they're 0-2, they'll be out. They'll
in
be out.
the documentary about the Celtics from last season, Al Horford was talking about how much he actually wanted to win the in-season tournament. So I'm expecting a big game from Uncle Al because he already takes Giannis and Embiid to school when he matches up with them. His next task is Evan Mobley. So we'll see how that goes. The Hornets and the Nets, both teams 0-1 in the cup. Both teams only have 5 wins so far this season.
Where's that game at?
In Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn?
Where Brooklyn at? It's at the Barclays.
Brooklyn's coming off of 2 tough losses to the Knicks. So there was a lot of emotion in that. The Hornets are such a wild card because they have talent to show up and play great, or they can show up and you trying to figure out what they're doing. So I'm going to go with the home team again. I'm going to go with the Nets.
BJ?
Nets.
Going with Brooklyn. I'm also going to go with Brooklyn. Trey Mann's a game time decision. Don't know if he'll play. He's been playing really well for them so far for the Hornets this season. The Nuggets and the Grizzlies. Aaron Gordon
Nuggets.
out. Nikola Jokic game time decision. Ja Morant out. Marcus Smart game time decision. Zach Edey game time decision. So it's going to be really a role player fest, this one.
And this is in Memphis?
In Memphis. And they just beat the Grizzlies. So
Yeah.
they just beat the Nuggets, sorry.
Yeah, I saw that they just beat the Nuggets. So I'm going to go. And no Ja Morant, you said?
He's currently listed as out. I don't know if that will change because these games aren't
If
tonight;
he's
they're
out.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
So
and
they
I
can
know
change
Gordon
the
is
report.
out. Obviously, with Jokic, that concerns me not knowing his availability. If he's available, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Nuggets.
BJ, what about you?
Nuggets.
That was a clean sweep across the board. I just feel like if Jokic is a game time decision, he'll decide to play because he doesn't seem the kind of guy to want to sit out a game. The next one's pretty easy: Pelicans and Mavs
Give me the Mavs. That's in Dallas too.
in Dallas.
Mavs.
Now, here's an interesting one: the Thunder, who are without Isaiah Hartenstein, Chet Holmgren, and Jalen Williams, going up against Victor Wembanyama, who is a game time decision, but the San Antonio Spurs.
What's wrong with Jalen Williams? What's he's out?
No. There's 2 Jalen Williams. There's the
Oh,
backup
oh,
big
oh,
Jalen
oh,
Williams, and then there's the
and
other
then there's
Jalen
the-
Williams, who's
okay,
really a
got
2
it.
guard, but currently playing center.
Yeah, I know. All right. Okay. All right. I got it. I got it.
Who you got? Because I know if Wemby plays, he's going to be fired up for it.
I'm gonna go Thunder. They just lost. They lost a tough one at home last night to the Mavericks, but a cup game. Shea has been playing terrific in the absence of Chet Holmgren. Give me the Thunder. They'll figure out a way how to win that game.
BJ?
Thunder.
Okay. I thought you'd be picking Wemby because there's no one to guard him now.
I'm gonna pick Thunder.
Okay. And the final one is the Jazz and the Lakers.
In LA, yeah, I'm gonna go to Lakers.
Lakers.
Lakers on a 5-game streak right now. But before we get to the NBA Cup, tonight we have some interesting matchups. We'll just go around real quick. Which of these games from tonight's schedule is standing out to you? Because the Bulls and the Pistons, the Pacers, the Raptors, the Wizards and Knicks, Sixers and Heat. I don't know if Embiid's going to play. He's game time decision. Tyrese Maxey's out. Jimmy Butler game time decision. Rockets and Bucks, I think will be a fun game. They always seem to have good matchups. Magic and Suns, Hawks and Kings, and then the Warriors and the Clippers. Which of those games is your must-watch game of the night?
For me, I want to watch 76ers and the Heat because they're 2 teams that are underperforming what their expectations were at the beginning of the season. Now we know Joel has been out due to injury, and Paul George has been out a lot as well. But the Sixers got to stop trying to win some games. And the Heat are 2 games below 500 and have not been great at home. So what gives tonight? Which team is going to assert their personality and figure out how to play a consistent level of basketball for 48 minutes?
Jared McCain has been playing unbelievable basketball for the Sixers.
Yeah, no, he has, but they're 2-10 going into this
game. 14.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so, look, I know the East up at the top. What you said, the Pistons are in 5th with the losing record of 7-8.
Yep.
But you can't keep letting games go by the wayside, and you get 10, 12 games below 500. It is hard to recover from that, even if you have a healthy Joel Embiid and healthy Paul George for the remainder of the season, which we know they're not going to play every game. So it's urgency time in Philadelphia. So I want to see what that looks like with them going down to Miami, and Miami, being the team that they are and the prideful organization that they are, understand that they need to win this game as well too, so they can stay in the mix in that Eastern Conference jumble, if you will, in the standings.
All right, well, that's another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys at home for listening. Make sure you subscribe to the show, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. BJ, did you have a game that you're keeping an eye on tonight?
Well, I'm watching all the games,
Oh, yeah.
I'm watching all the games. I'm watching my Bullies, our Pistons. I'm watching that game, I have a personal interest in that game. And then, I'm watching, I'm watching, see what the chef's going to do. They play the Clippers tonight. I was just there. I saw the Clippers. So I'm kind of interested in that game. Had a chance to see the new building. And
what was your take on the new building? Forgot to ask
you. Scott, Scott, as we mature, right? As you and I mature, you and I have we started off, and this is before Mo won't even know this. He's not even familiar with this. We started off with Cobo Hall. We started off with Cobo Hall when we started going to NBA games. Yeah, Mo, look it up. Look it up. Cobo Hall in Detroit. Look it up. So Mo, you can catch up. So you and I started going
Huntington Palace.
Yeah, to Cobo Hall in Detroit. And then to go from that, Scott, to this. Yeah, Scott, I was just like a fish out of water last night. I mean, Scott, I didn't even know how to walk into the arena. Really? I finally get to the right entrance, right? I mean, Scott, I'm telling you, it's when you go there, you got to prepare yourself. You don't know anything. They started greeting me by name.
Oh, wow.
Oh, everything is it's technically advanced. You feel like you're in.
What's the food like, BJ?
Well, the food was. I didn't get a chance to experience everything because of the experience. I got to go back there where I can relax. Literally, I was stressed just trying to figure out if I was in the right line to get into the arena, because you have like 20 different lines. I'm not kidding. Like, there's this line if you have facial recognition. This line if you don't have the right app. There's this line.
You're living in the future, huh? And I know you ain't got facial recognition or any apps on your phone. So I don't even want to know what line they put you in.
So, Scott, I can tell you this. I just wanted a ticket, Scott. I just wanted a ticket. That's all I wanted, Scott. Give him a ticket and go into the game, gives a little popcorn. Right. Well, there's no transfer of anything. It's all digital. It's all on your phone. But I need probably about 4 or 5 more times before I can feel comfortable in this digital space. There's no scoreboard. There's no scoreboard in the sense of a traditional scoreboard. You got to see that. I can't even describe
the halo.
Yeah, the halo, is that what they're calling it?
League. Yeah.
I don't know. There's some button or something you can participate in the things that's going on in the arena.
In your seat. There's a button in your seat.
Stuff on the jumbo.
Yeah, you can vote and you could do things. There's lights in the seats. Who's where? Who wins? I mean, it's just so much going on that I'm still trying to download what was going on. Now, what was fascinating because of the seats that I had last night, like Scott, I've never seen it. There's seat warmers on the player seats. There's seat warmers.
wow.
There's
Seat
there's seat massagers. There's all types of stuff going on. I mean, it was so much going on that I couldn't even take it all in. So
Man, Steve
shout
Ballmer,
out-
Steve
yeah,
Ballmer, if you're
yeah.
listening, come and buy the podcast because I've been sitting on this same damn desk chair for 5 years now. My
No,
eyebrows are terrible back.
it's so
Come on, man, a massager. Come on, man.
it's so advanced, Scott, that I felt like way out of line. Like I got to get.
Wow.
I mean, there's just it's digital. Excuse me, digital everything. Everything is just digital. You know, it's the seats. It feels very intimate, actually. The way it's constructed feels really. It's a shooter's paradise.
Is it?
Oh,
The
shooter's
seats
paradise.
are so steep.
Because Scott, you feel like you're in a very very
tight,
and the
okay,
backgrounds
yeah.
are all black,
Yeah.
so the rim really sticks out.
Got it.
Yeah, like the
Yeah, that's
lighting is
crazy.
like great. So it really, I expect someone to have like one of those 60, 70, 80 point games there. It's that intimate.
Maybe Kawhi will.
Yeah. I saw Kawhi last night. I saw Kawhi.
I
saw
didn't.
the,
I was watching
Yeah,
the game. I didn't see it.
but it's going to take time, Scott. I've just never been to a place this advanced. You know,
Welcome to the future, BJ.
Here's the most interesting part. So I had our company tickets last night, and Scott. So I'm sitting in the I don't know the VIP area or whatever. You know, so we're gonna grab a little whatever before the game, and all of a sudden people started cheering, and I was like, what is going on? And the players just run right through the restaurant.
Where the lounge.
Yeah, and they just Scott. It wasn't like a partition or anything. They just ran right through there as they were going to the court, and I thought, okay, like Scott, it was just so much going on that you know you're literally right in their space, and they are in your space, and it's very intimate in that way. So, but I need a little bit more time to kind of get used to what's going on. It was just too much. But a phenomenal Mo would have loved to have this courtyard out there where everyone's just playing hoops. Everyone's just playing.
Hey, I'm gonna book a flight real soon because it's freezing cold. And yeah, I'm gonna come visit, BJ. I'm gonna come visit because that sounds ideal. You know, if you buy a snack at the game, you don't even have to pay. It just tracks you and takes the money automatically.
Scott, everywhere you go, they'll be like, "Hey,
It's
Scott,
cashless.
how you doing?" Scott, they'll be like, you'll walk someplace. Hi, Scott. Hi, Mo.
That's crazy. That's kind of a little unnerving. I don't like when I meet people who know my name before I know.
And
they know my
then
name.
when you walk into a place, it recognizes your face and it'll be like, "Hi, Scott. Welcome back." And then you're like, "Wait, what's going on here?"
The robots are taking over. The robots are taking over.
Cameras everywhere, Scott. Cameras everywhere.
1984.
And there's no, hey, if you want a water, just walk over there and grab one. They'll charge you for it. Don't worry about it.
Exactly.
All right. Well, that's another episode of the show. We're gonna have to wrap it up here, but I appreciate you, fellas. And I'll see you guys. Maybe I'll stop off in LA before you two make your little Super Bowl road trip. How about that?
It sounds good. It sounds good.
I appreciate you guys. Until next time, you know the vibes. Get buckets.